Some dry curtains.
These are rippling nerves. Checks worse than rippling nerves. That's the way.
Greetings, foolish mortals. To kick off spooky season, I am going to be beginning my very own mystery content series. We are starting off with the Max Headroom incident. On November 22nd, 1987, the residents of Chicago, Illinois were watching sports on a local channel called WGN-TV. It was just an average evening at 9 p.m. People had gotten off work and they were at home just trying to unwind and catch up on what had gone on that day because, most of us while we're at work, we're not really paying attention to the news. So once we get home, we want to see, how much the world is on fire. And so we turn on the news, we sit down. And then this happens.
Some dry curtains.
These are rippling nerves. Checks worse than rippling nerves. That's the way.
You may be asking yourself, what on earth did I just see? Because that is a very fair response to that little bit of a clip. You just saw a pirate. Not the typical Jack Sparrow savvy kind of pirate, but a news station hijacking pirate, which might be even more impressive given what it would take to hack an analog TV station in the 80s, but we'll get to that later. This pirate was wearing a Max Headroom full head mask, rubber mask. So the next question you might have is, who or what is Max Headroom? If you're a 90s baby or even younger than that, because apparently they make them even younger today, you might not know. He was a fictional artificial intelligence character that hailed from Britain in 1985. He was created by George Stone, Annabelle Jankel, and Rocky Morton. As you can see in the clip I provided, the imagery is quite grainy and blurry given its age and that it was recorded from people's homes off of a local news station. The fact that this interruption was so unexpected and the behavior of this individual is just so unnerving. It's one of those cases in which something isn't scary at all, but it's just so wrong. It's so out of place. There's something so off that it is far scarier than any blood or guts jump scares could ever hope of being. The clip that I showed you is actually a portion of the clip that I will be playing in full in a moment. And that's because I wanted to give you an idea of what this interruption was like, but the original interruption that lasted for 25 seconds on WGN-TV at 9 p.m. was actually not caught on film. This is because no one happened to be recording that segment. It was on a local Chicago news station and it was 25 seconds and it was over before anyone could even figure out what happened. It was just kind of this 25 seconds of the character on screen and he seemed to just be laughing and not really making any sense, but he didn't have too much to say during that first interruption. But this didn't happen just once. It wasn't a quick weird little blip and everyone forgot about it. It happened again. The second time, they hacked into the PBS affiliate, WTTW. They were broadcasting an episode of Doctor Who, and it was around 11:20 p.m. when the next interruption happened. This time, the interruption lasted around 90 seconds, which again, this is incredibly impressive that they were on the air for 90 seconds. Here is the full clip.
Sometimes in talk of the seals, just to get a change from Reuben and Ben.
Seals are animals?
Well, yes.
That is stupid. You should talk often with the old ones of your tribe. That is the only way to learn.
I'll get you a hot drink, miss.
Some dry curtains.
These are rippling nerves. Checks worse than rippling nerves. Jesus. That's the way. my files. Oh, I just made a giant masterpiece for all the greatest world newspaper nerds. My brother is wearing the other one. He's nerdy. I'm going to get put my sonic off.
It's really creepy, even if you can't understand most of what was said in this video because of the audio distortion. At the beginning of the video, he says something to the effect of, "What a freaking nerd." And I think he might have been talking about just the Doctor Who fans or Doctor Who himself, because it seems like this guy or girl was just having some fun and just poking fun at everything. And so I think they might have just been making fun of the audience they hacked in on. But other sources I saw claimed that he was actually referencing the WGN newscaster, Chris Swirsky, from the first broadcast, because that is the broadcaster who was live when the first interruption happened. And he had a bit of a response to it, like saying, I don't know what just happened. That was crazy. And unfortunately, there's not a clip of that because it wasn't being recorded. But he did have a reaction and said to the audience, you know, I don't know what just happened. And so maybe whomever was doing this hacking saw that and was just making fun of him because, you know, you got owned, man, you got him. As you saw, he also held up a can of Pepsi while saying "Catch the Wave," which was the slogan for Coca-Cola. And Max Headroom was the spokesperson for Coca-Cola at the time. So I guess he thought that was real funny. Then he began quoting a bunch of TV shows and songs, and it was really hard for people even watching live to understand what he was saying because of the quality of the broadcast and also the audio distortion, which we can assume was to serve two purposes: to hide his voice and also to creep people out to the maximum extent. He then said at some point in all of this jumbled up mess that he had made a great masterpiece for the greatest world newspaper, which was a reference to the news station he had hacked into, which was WGN, which ended up being an acronym for World's Greatest News Station. Then he held up a white glove on his hand. He, while holding the glove, referenced it and said that his brother had his other glove and it was all dirty, like there was blood stains on it. Then, and I censored this as you saw, he moons the audience from the side. Nothing says 80s, like a good old mooning. And a woman, so now we've got player 2, comes on screen and is hitting him with a fly swatter. And then I return to Doctor Who as if nothing had happened. But there was no one working at WTTW's news tower that night. It was just going on auto broadcast. And so no one was there to shut this off. This person just had full reign for this little takeover moment because there was no one there to shut him down, and he was not broadcasting from the tower. Anders Jokom, the station's spokesperson, said that the technicians at the headquarters, once they finally got there, tried to take corrective measures but couldn't. And the air director, Paul Rizzo, said, as the content got weirder, we got increasingly stressed out about not being able to do anything about it. By the time our people began looking into what was going on, it was already over, said Jokom, the spokesperson. This was still incredibly unsettling because going back to the perspective of the viewer, if you didn't know what was going on and you were just watching Doctor Who, you're watching the news, you're watching what you always watch, and then all of a sudden you see what I just showed you, that's very unsettling. And another thing that makes it so unsettling is the audio. There's something so bone-rattling to me about the distorted, buzzing audio. I think that's what creeps me out about this the very most. So now that you know about the incident, we have to discuss the mystery of it all. Who, why, how? This person hacked into 2 different stations on the same night within a 2-hour period. This wasn't just some random Joe who got bored and needed something to do that night. This was someone who had a lot of experience in technology and also in hijacking. Because this was on 2 separate stations, I feel this rules out the theory that it was a disgruntled employee who had the inside scoop on how to do something like this and just wanted to pull a prank, because these were 2 completely unrelated stations. And so unless they worked at both stations, which is unlikely if you ask me, and because of a different theory I will mention in a moment, I do not think this classic theory that it was a disgruntled employee had anything to do with it, because it didn't take place inside of either station. The hijacking didn't. So it's not someone who was just in there in work and didn't get caught. The fact they were able to accomplish this when all of the stations were still analog instead of digital makes it even more amazing. Had the culprit been caught, he could have been charged a maximum of $100,000, which is even more today, and served a year in prison. However, the statute of limitations on this was only 5 years and ended in 1992. So whomever did this could take full credit and walk scot-free. Go on, you can tell us. I'll wait. According to allthingsinteresting.com, the FCC figured out how this person did it, but still not who it was. So how they did it was they got their own personal antenna from their own personal broadcast, and they positioned it at the perfect timing in the perfect spot between them and the tower, and it interrupted the signal. This took a lot of precision, timing, and honestly good luck. They were able to track down the location of where this happened to some warehouses in a nearby district. When they went and actually checked out the warehouses, it did seem to be the same ones, because if you notice in the clip, it looks like a warehouse door behind him or her. So smart, they went to a place that was not their home, so if they did get tracked down, it would still not lead back to them. So if it's probably not a disgruntled employee, given that they did this at an outside location and that it happened at 2 different stations, what could be the cause? Why would someone go to all this trouble to do something so unsettling and so creepy and very illegal? This was a federal crime. If you listen carefully throughout the broadcast, or just rely on the captions because it is very difficult to understand, this person is commenting on society, the media, large corporations, and news stations themselves. I think this was an early era edgelord trying to be scandalous and have that shock value. And I think he may have been ironically using an image of a spokesperson for one of those large companies to kind of poke fun at it. That's kind of what I got from this. I don't actually think they were trying to be creepy. This video and this mystery ends up in a lot of spooky content because it's just really unsettling, especially the less context, the worse it is. I've given you a whole lot of context and kind of demystified it, but there's a lot of situations where this kind of comes off as like blank room soup, which is still very disturbing to me, but it might not be disturbing at all if we're talking about, you know, if you find the full context of something. But this is very unsettling the first time you come across it, which is why I chose to play some of it at the beginning of the video before you knew the context. Context is the enemy of mystery. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just some person who was really bored and had way too much time on their hands and thought this would be hilarious, and they just chose to bring up a bunch of random things that everyone is involved in, like soda. And that is the mystery of the Max Headroom incident. Please let me know what your theories and comments are in the comment section down below. Also, I hope that you guys liked this first video. I feel like I am getting my footing on this kind of content, so it might take me a little while to get into the groove of it and to kind of get this kind of thing prepared and make sure it rolls off smoothly. I do hope it didn't seem too scripted, because with these videos I do have to prepare in advance. I can't just wing it because I have to have all of the information, and while all of the stuff is in my head, I'm still reciting things that, you know, I've already premeditated. And so I hope that it can, you know, I'm gonna work on getting smoother and cleaner with these videos. Until then, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Be safe, don't breathe or breathe on people. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.